I have the privilege of being daddy to 3 young girls aged 3 and under. It's a bit of a crazy house at times, but as you can imagine, it is one full of love, joy, and laughter. However, this morning, love, joy, and laughter were not the first thoughts that crossed my wife and I's minds. You see, earlier this morning, the eldest decided she would like to be a cockerel, an alarm clock for the rest of the house. Through the monitor, we were woken to the following noise. Cock-a-doodle-doo! Wake up, family! It's morning! Mommy! Daddy! Then she persisted to say her 2 sisters' names in a similar fashion. It's time to get up! It's morning! Quite the way to be woken up. Needless to say, we're praying and hoping that she doesn't do the same tomorrow. But one of the joys of watching my children grow up is the deep love that they have for their mum, for my wife. The 3 of them are daddy's girls, not least the youngest, but whenever they hurt themselves or they're upset or something hasn't quite gone their way, there's nobody quite like their mum. In fact, even daddy's not good enough in those moments. There are just times when they want their mum. John, one of the 12 disciples, indeed the disciple who was probably closest to Jesus, and in his own gospel account refers to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved. John, speaking of their close-knit friendship, gives us a unique insight into one particular event which took place during Jesus' crucifixion. As Jesus hung on the cross, as he prayed, "Father, forgive them," and told the thief on the cross, "Today you will be with me in paradise." John's account gives credence to those who gathered around the cross and an interaction which Jesus had with his own mother, Mary. We find the account in John chapter 19, verses 25 to 27, and it reads as follows. Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son." And to the disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. I remember wondering why the detail of this conversation was included in the Gospel of John. And maybe even as I read that, you find yourself asking the same question right now. But before we attempt to answer that together, though, it's important that we recognize a few things here. Firstly, this isn't John flexing in hindsight or trying to make sure that everybody knows how important Jesus thought that he was. And secondly, Jesus also isn't being rude or passive here. See, by referring to his mum as woman, this was not a mark of disrespect nor of unconcern, but rather was a term of endearment and respect that's perhaps lost in our 21st century language and understanding. You see, what transpires here is truly remarkable. We perhaps numb ourselves to the pain and suffering which Jesus would have been experiencing on the cross. Sometimes on weeks like this, we're so busy rushing our way to Sunday, to the resurrection, that we forget about Jesus' humanity and just how much pain would have been experienced. If ever there was a moment in Jesus' earthly life and ministry that he would have been excused for thinking about himself rather than others, this would have been it. If ever there was a moment that he would have gotten away with calling for the comfort of his mother, Mom, this would have been it. Yet right until the end, Jesus is working on behalf of others, ministering to them in deep and meaningful ways. Mary had other children after Jesus was born, yet Jesus left Mary in the care of John. As he looks down from the cross and he sees his mother Mary and John, his best friend and the only disciple courageous enough to stand and be present at his crucifixion. As he looks down and he sees them in their distress, as a sword pierces Mary's own soul and calls them into a new relationship, into a new way of living, Jesus is conscious of Mary's need rather than caring over his own pain. Theologian G. Campbell Morgan puts it like this: he is in the midst of unfathomable things, in the midst of those hours when all divine compassions were toiling to redeem men and exhibit the everlasting mercy. His heart thought about his mother, and he provided for her for the rest of her earthly pilgrimage. Even in his darkest hour, even in the valley of the shadow of death, Jesus provides for the needs of others. Jesus, the Son of God, is the only one who can meet the needs which we face in our moments of sorrow and heartache as we journey through the deep, dark valleys. Jesus is the only one who makes a way where there appears or seems to be no way. So wherever today finds you, no matter how gone you might feel or that situation or circumstance might seem, Jesus looks down, offering to meet your every need in accordance with his glorious riches in heaven. He only asks that you reach out to him.